Welcome back, my friends. Welcome back. Scotty the Trucker coming to you from one of those travel plazas on I-80 in Ohio. This is my favorite one. I've been to this one a couple times. I like this one because it has a restaurant that I had never heard of before trucking, but I've been to it a couple times now and I really like it. It's called Freshen. It's kind of specializes in wraps and salads and kind of the, I guess, a little bit healthier fare. What I like is they have these rice bowls, and oh man, I get the Mexican. It's like brown rice with black beans, corn, onions, lettuce, sriracha, spices, grilled chicken. It's good. Now I already had one for lunch, and I went up and got showers, and showers are free at this place, but you got to bring a towel or something to dry yourself, which is what I did. I don't have a towel. I have a shirt that I brought as a towel. But whatever, free shower, feel great, got a great lunch. Came back to the truck. I was getting ready to leave. My 10-hour break is almost up, and I had an earlier conversation with my dispatcher that we were gonna try to make an 8 p.m. delivery time this evening. We had a little bit. No, I get along great with my dispatcher, but if there's any little point of contention that we've hit a couple times, not arguing, just different perspectives, I'll say that, it's been over ETAs. And I don't know, you guys that have been trucking for a while, you tell me, when someone asks me what's your ETA to this particular next place, and I'll get into the reason why I'm even giving an ETA. This load has been all kinds of messed up, and we had to adjust, and they wanted to know when I could make it, and I did my math. My math is going to favor me, which means, why would I pick a time that's like razor thin on cushion, padding, a little bit of extra time for traffic, fueling, breaks and stuff, your 30-minute breaks and things. So, I kind of have a formula, and it's been accurate, but my dispatcher, when the two or three times this has come up, he's had a differing opinion. He wants it to be a little shaved down to a narrower margin, but we kind of chatted today. It ended up being a real good conversation, but he couldn't understand why I had picked the amount of hours that I did. It was pretty simple. My math, when I do these things, I came up with it myself. I just kind of count the hours. This was going to take 15 hours of drive time, 10 hours somewhere in that 15 hours as a 10-hour reset. It was going to cross one time zone to the east, which means you lose an hour. And then I like to be there. I like to be anywhere I go at least an hour early. I shoot for that, so I add an hour there. And then I add 2 hours of just whatever time, fueling, traffic, anything like that. So that's my cushion, was kind of that 2 hours plus the hour that I like to be early. So my time added like 3 hours to what my dispatcher would have liked. So he had called me and said, well, WTF, man, why is this going to take you so long to get there? This customer is after me, to get you here. And I gave him my math, and but we agreed we'd go with his time, which I can make. I told him I can make it, but it's with everything going right. Everything has to work out perfectly for me to make it. But I'm a team player. I can do it. So anyway, I'm going to be all over the place, but that's. I was getting just a few minutes ago. I think my departure here would have been, my 10 hours is up in about 15-20 minutes. I was going to be heading out as soon as it got here. But at the last minute, he said there's a new appointment time for tomorrow at 8 a.m., which is way past even my estimation. So, and I don't want to sit. I would rather not be here. But if you're going to sit, pretty cool to be at one of your favorite places with Freshen, and you can get another rice bowl. Silver lining, folks. There's always a silver lining. Find it. Okay, all right. Now, this video, I'll give an update through the story I'm going to tell. That was this. Well, let me finish giving you the update on this current load. This is a 2 pickup load, and it was 2 pickups in Milwaukee yesterday. They're like 2 miles apart. The first one was an appointment at 1, I believe, 1 p.m. I got there early, way early, but they took me. They took me in. They unloaded me. I mean, they loaded me very quickly. The only downside, this was 2 pickups, and I told them when I came in, this is just one of 2 pickups. When I pulled away from the dock, I went and I peeked, and I saw that they had the whole trailer jammed almost to the door. There was maybe 2.5, 3 feet left between the last pallet and the door, and a little bit around the side. They had the 2 pallets shoved all the way to one side, so there was another little alley going back about that space. Now I knew the second pickup was not a big one, but you're not gonna get another pallet in there. You know, they might be able to stuff some boxes in around the corner, but they're not gonna get a pallet. So this concerned me, and I went back in and I said, I told them that this was one of 2 and there's no room for the next delivery, the next pickup. And they said, we jammed it in there. There's no added space in there. This was the order, and this was the best we could do. So called dispatch. We decided go ahead and go to the O2, tell them about it, give them a heads up, but at least let them tell us that they can't do it before we bail on the O2. All right, so other problem was not a problem, but the O2, again 2 miles away, was not the appointment wasn't for many hours later, and I didn't want to go to some rest stop or something and have to come back into the city. I wanted to go straight over, so I tried to call them, no answer. These 2 places have the same company name, so I talked to the person at one, and I asked, are you really connected with the other one? I tried to contact them. I'd like to just come right over if they'll let me. He said, no, we're not really affiliated with them. So anyway, I ended up just going over early, way early, like several hours, 6, 7, 8, something like that, hours early. And when I got there, they took me in, they registered me, and I told them, I said, there may be a potential issue. They loaded the last one right up almost to the door, and I told them 2 feet by 2 feet, that kind of thing. And we saw that, on my documentation, it said 45 pieces, and it was only like 500 pounds. Now he looked on his end, and he said, we might have 2 problems. He said, I think we might be able to work with the space you're talking about, but on my end, I have an order, but it's for 0 cases. And he said, well, you go park. You're welcome to stay here. We are a little bit behind. Remember those words. We are a little bit behind schedule, but you can sit there and I'll work on this, try to figure out both problems, and I'll give you a call. Right. All right, so I proceed to sit and sit and sit beyond my appointment. I get good sleep. I get a 10 sitting there. I go check with them. Second guy, very friendly people, by the way. Second guy, because you go in and when they tell you they're going to call you and you keep coming back and asking, some shippers and receivers get a little ornery with you. Not so with these guys. This guy checked on it. He said, I can't really tell you when you're going to be loaded. He said, we are 30 hours behind schedule. He said, but the day shift is coming on soon, and they've been real good about shaving a little bit of time off that, but it's going to be a while. So, okay, I alert dispatch. They say, fine, just keep us posted. And time keeps going and going. I go back up again, same thing. And I'm trying to think when I learned. It was the 4th time I went up. I had been there 24 hours had passed. I was back at my arrival time 24 hours later. This time they let slip, not just behind. They had called, I guess the first guy had called or emailed the company, the customer, and couldn't get through about this no cases thing. So this last guy said, and actually the woman at the counter was going to give me the same line, 30 hours, we'll call you. But the guy with the vest on said, I'll check on that. And he checked and he said, no, we have 0 cases, and then the customer hasn't gotten back in touch with us. So I'm 24 hours and we've moved not 1 inch as far as fixing the problem. So again, I alert dispatch and everything, and eventually eventually, he has me sit longer. I was there well over 24 hours. I don't remember exactly, but to the point where I was no way I was going to make my 6 a.m. today appointment at the receiver. So anyway, eventually dispatch and sales were trying to get in touch with the customer and everything. Anyway, they eventually told me just go on to the 90. So that's what I did. I drove, it's like I said, 15 hours. I drove 10, something like that last night. I got another 5 to drive to get there, and I came to where I am now. So, and that's why they were asking for my ETA. I had given them an ETA from the 02 of roughly 28 to 30 hours, something like that. I had said the 27th anytime. It could be 1 minute past midnight. I can do the 27th at any time. And he, my dispatcher thought might have a little too much extra time on there. Not lazy, folks, but I do like to set myself up for success. If you're going to ask me for an ETA, it's going to be one I know I can make, not one I think I can make, which is the ones he comes up with. But if we can meet in the middle, it seems like he's a guy that we can work with, so I'm happy about it. All right. Now, on to, I'll give you an update on my last load through this story. Now, okay, this one, I have been really excited about telling this story. Although the more I think about it, the harder it is in my head to convey all the little nuances and things that kind of, the little lessons and things that happened within this great story. This is my load before. You'll remember I got a load out of Colorado, and I had, I'm trying to even remember where they were. Drawing a blank, doesn't matter. All right, this one had 1 pickup, Colorado, and 2 drop-offs. Now, first drop-off, no problem. I'll just skip through that one. That one went no problem. Second one, and this story, let me preface this a little bit before I get into it. 2 things. First, this story has a little bit of everything. It's got nerves, it's got frustration, it's got newbie problems and mistakes. It's got embarrassment for yours truly. Kind of a nightmare scenario for any up-and-coming YouTuber like myself. So it's kind of a story where, everybody can relate that, you have either a day or a series of events that just start going negative, and one compounds into the next one, and it just snowballs into a negative, worse and worse type of thing. But in this particular case, that was the case for this one. But in this particular case, the kindness and helpfulness of strangers turned it around, and some really great stuff came out of it. Now, before I get into the story, I want to kind of set this up a little bit. Those of you that watch me, I try to keep things positive. I'm not trying to keep the negative from you. I just don't like dwelling on the negative too much. I'm not much of a ranter, really. I like to, find the good in any situation. And, mistakes tend to lead to learning and not making those mistakes again. So anyway, but that said, I try to give balance. I'm very open. I try to be very honest with what's going on, and I'll give positive videos, and once in a while I'll give a negative, things, if you're thinking of coming trucking, I do want you to know, that it's not a cakewalk getting there. It gets easier with time, but it's not easy to get to this point, and the point I'm in isn't necessarily easy. So that's the point I want to make here. I hope that my videos are not conveying that it's smooth sailing for me right now. Far from it, to be quite honest, and I think that's the way it's supposed to go. I am a newbie rookie trucker. I have a YouTube channel, but that does not make me an expert of shit out here, okay? So I'm an expert of what I experience, and that's what I give you guys. So I want to make sure it's understood that while I'm getting better and I'm light years away from what I was in the first couple weeks, I'm still struggling here and there. Things have gotten easier. First couple weeks I was shaking in my boots for a normal alley dock. between two trucks. That was very nerve-provoking, anxiety-provoking. That doesn't bother me now. A normal, quote-unquote, alley dock, one with the right amount of space so that you can do it textbook style. I really don't have any trouble with that anymore, for the most part. I still do get nervous when I roll in on a shipper or receiver and I see that it's one of those crazy ones, very little space, obstacles. Someone always drops a trailer right where you need to be able to do the setup, those kind of situations. Blind side backs, I've had a couple of those, and I'll allude to that a little bit later too. So those still make me nervous. I'm getting better at all of them, but every day I have victories, and probably every couple days to 3 days I have a struggle, a problem, an issue, a missed turn, GPS sending me down roads that I shouldn't be on, inner city places like Chicago. I got a up close and personal look at Southside Chicago the other day because I missed a turn on my GPS. Anyway, I digress. Okay, but yeah, I want to make sure it's clear. It's going to be a struggle. This is a process, folks. I am not an expert, and I'm learning quickly, and it's getting more comfortable with every day, but I'm not at a point that I would say this is easy or smooth sailing yet. I still get hit with challenges every day. Some of them I pass, and some of them I don't, which leads me to this awesome story. Okay, this one was delivery number 2. And honestly, I remember that it was a super value. I honestly, can't remember where we were. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I gotta move on. All right, it's a super value, kind of a Walmart-like place, one of these really big facilities with loads of docks, lots of room. The area for setting up and these docks, not tons of room like where everything is a straight line back or anything like that, but it was all normal alley dock type stuff, not difficult docks at all. Now, I checked in. They fairly quickly. I sat for a while, but they got me a door, and I went and I don't know if I don't think it was cocky. That's not me, but I don't think I was taking my time. This is, I'm sure anybody who's trucking, past or present, will be able to relate to this. This is a case of a bad setup turning an easy dock into a nightmare, and that's what I did. And I'll try to, with the screen, your docks are here, the doors, dock, like parking space, these are where I'm going to go. I'm parked over here, so I need to go across here and do a U-turn and come back across here so that I can do my setup for my 45 and then back into this parking space. Okay, all right, so I go across. Now what I should have done was take my time and go further and come back so that my trailer would be roughly straight behind me, get my ass end behind me, so that it's, when you do your S turn, everything's where it should be. I don't know why, but I was kind of hasty. I wasn't really, taking my time and thinking it through. I turned too early, which meant that when I got to my dock, my back end, my front was right where it needed to be when I started doing my S-turn, but the back end hadn't finished coming around the U-turn. So what that meant was that, once I got into my 45 degree location, my ass was nowhere near where it needed to be. Now, it was a little bit of struggle at that point, but I actually got it in there. I got the back end. I had to do kind of a really severe jackknife, but I got it in there. But I was like 3 feet off, and I up and backed a couple times, and still off a little bit, but it was enough that I had pulled forward, and I opened my doors, and got my lock off, opened my doors, that kind of. I was getting ready to go back. I also, I think, did my tandems with whatnot. So little bit of struggle at this point, not just kind of nerves from knowing that I screwed up on my turn, and a little bit of struggle getting the butt end back there. But right in the middle of this, I get Scotty the trucker man, and the guy comes over, and name's Jeff. And he really great guy. He was saying, I think he's lower 40s. I think he's like 41 or something like that. But anyway, very similar. He's like, man, we're in much similar things. I gave up a job that I've been doing for 15 years. I think he said fabricator, I believe. And he said, you were a big inspiration and everything. And I said, well, man, hold on. I'm kind of sticking out here. I'm blocking traffic. Let me get this thing in the hole and docked. It looks like we're gonna, and he pointed over. He said, I'm Prime Ink 2. He said, I'm in TNT. I think he said 2-3 weeks in, something like that. Pointed to the truck, and I said, well, that's great. I said, let me get docked, and we're gonna be here a while. We'll catch up in a moment. So he kind of stepped aside, and I proceeded. Here we go. None of this, most of the time, this whole scenario, this dock would not have posed any problem. I go into them every day. I got a stack of loads that thick now that, I've managed to get done. But for some reason, easy was just not my thing today. And anyway, I start doing back and forth, pull up, back, forth. And again, newbie, rookie mistakes that everybody knows happen when you're early. You kind of get into a pattern of trying to fix things, and you do the same thing over and over again, which means you end up in the same place rather than moving over. I was about 2.5 to 3 feet off, and I'm trying to go up, and then I'm going back, and I'm hitting the same mark over and over again, and actually sawing myself back and forth in the wrong direction, ultimately towards this truck. I'm getting closer and closer to the truck on the side, which I wasn't before. I was in no fear of hitting that. So nerves, frustration, and I've got a fan, a subscriber standing right there on the side. Nightmare for a YouTuber. I never profess to be an expert in anything trucking, but you don't want to be recognized when you're kind of at your worst. And that was the case. And I'm just sawing back and forth and getting frustrated because everything I'm doing is compounding the problem. And I think it's more nerves than anything else. It's just, I'm like, we just get it in there and be done with it. So to the point where I guess I wasn't even really thinking. I kind of bailed on the back and forth thing, and I went back out, not all the way out, but I was gonna kind of reset up. I pulled up into the left and was gonna come back in again and try to make up the space then. But I got to here, had my window down, I was about to turn and go through, and I see another trucker coming up to me. And he's got a big smile on his face, and I know one of two things. He's either here to to ridicule the prime newbie dumbass who can't park, or he's going to help. Thank God he wanted help. This was Steve, and this was Jeff's TNT trainer. And he came up to me and he said, having a little trouble, huh? Yes, sir. Yeah, having a little trouble. Still pretty new at this, said usually this kind of thing doesn't give me a lot of trouble. I'm kind of beyond this, but any given day you can be dialed in or not, and I was not dialed in. And he said, I can help you. Let me help you in. You want some help? I said, yeah, I'll take some help. Another lesson: take help when you need it. Know your limitations and take help. The ego will get you hitting stuff if you follow your ego all the time. But anyway, this guy was awesome. He stood a little bit away for a little bit and was helping me, telling me when to turn, anyway, he was helping me, and he came over and he put his left hand on my mirror and walked me all the way in, golden, and gave me a few tips along the way, and he had said, and he saw one of my issues through TNT. It wasn't an issue in PSD. It was something that came on during TNT. Was my straight line back. I think it was a little bit in PSD. Eric commented on a few times, like I would screw up the setup and be kind of messed up, but I had a way. I was pretty good at correcting it really quick by oversteering, and so that stuck with me. And now when I do straight line backs, I have a bad habit of oversteering it. I see that I need to go left, I am going this, rather than, and this guy said, he said, you have a little trouble going straight back nowadays, don't you? And I said, yeah, I oversteer. I realize my problem. I do tend to oversteer it. And he said, he gave me a little tip. He's like, look at the numbers on either side of the trailer. He said, put your hand at the top of the steering wheel, and he's like, watch the numbers. If you stop seeing the numbers, then you're not going to be going straight. And that helped. I got right on the line and went straight in, and so it was great. And he just kind of walked off. I got in the place. He helped me tremendously. He walked off. He wasn't looking for a lot of thanks or anything like that. So I got in there. The delivery went well. I waited. I got my paperwork, and I want to make sure. Yeah, and before the paperwork and everything, I met and talked with Jeff for quite a while. And again, great guy. He's got a YouTube channel. He's just revamped it, so I'm not gonna plug it yet. I'm gonna give him a little chance to. I think he's got just one short on there. I'll be glad to give him an endorsement in a little bit, but I'm gonna let him get going first. Great guy, subscriber, couldn't have spoken higher, higher praise. He said, you're an inspiration and everything. And I laughed. I was like, yeah. From my perspective, it's like, it was great meeting him. Really good guy. But man, I wish it was under better circumstances. I'm sorry, Jeff. I'm not the super trucker you might have thought I was because I have a YouTube channel. Far from it. I'm still working that, and therein is the lesson. I think on my 3rd month, and everything has gotten better, but man, you got to be on your game, at least in as much as don't hit stuff. That is my motto going into every single thing. That's almost all I care about. Get there on time, don't hit anything. I can live with the embarrassment, and I have many an embarrassing backing tale to tell. They don't all go perfectly, but I get them in there. Like I said, I got a stack of loads that were successful somehow I made it through and hit the dock without hitting anything. They may have been ugly and they may have been embarrassing, where you get out of the truck and you kind of put your head down when you're walking over to the office, that kind of thing. You do a little walk of shame because 15 truckers watched you goofball it in over 15 minutes. Whatever, doesn't matter. Live with the embarrassment, just don't hit anything. All right. Oh yeah, I got the best part, or I think the best part. Got my paperwork, and I walked over to their truck. Jeff was in the driver's seat, and I've got a picture. I'd probably use it as a thumbnail, but somewhere in here I will show a really bad selfie that I took, but all 3 of our faces are in it. I walked up, and Jeff was looking at me. I think he was about to roll down the window, and I said, I want to talk to your trainer. And I went around, and I just, he stuck his head out, and I said, I just wanted to thank you. I said, thank you so much for coming over to help me. That was incredible, and you really helped me with some tips and pointers and things, and we were talking a little bit, and I got to be a little delicate here, okay. He gave me, we started talking, and he asked me some questions about fueling, fuel costs, things like that. How do I do this? Okay. All right. I don't bash anybody on this channel. I will never do that. It's not fair. They don't have a platform like this. Not fair. I'm not going to do that. Not cool. And you read between the lines. I also don't talk about my TNT experience very much. Can kind of put those 2 together and understand where I'm coming from. So I will say, I learned a lot. I really did. I learned a lot of this business in TNT. Kind of from a perspective, I guess, that I'd not necessarily agree with, and certainly not in a manner that I would agree with. But I did. I learned 80%, I would say, of what I needed to know fairly well. I did not leave TNT feeling proficient in backing, and there was a lot of business side stuff, lease business stuff, that I honestly don't think my trainer really focused on too much. At least I didn't see it. He made quite a bit of money because he did TNT year round. He would take a little break in between each one, so he was rolling in it pretty much. So maybe he did pay attention, and it just didn't show me. It didn't look like he cared too much about where we fueled, as long as it was in network. Get the discount. And we did occasionally, follow what Prime sends you, in your trip itinerary. Good grief, 30 minutes already? Oh my gosh. But anyway, he took me through the Prime map, showed me areas of the Prime map that I didn't even know about, that not only will they send you that, but you can look at the map, and pick and choose. It shows you your route and, all the prices along the route, and you can pick one that's the lowest. And, he was giving me tips on, he asked how fast I was driving. I said, I'm kind of a 63 guy. He's like, you're going way too fast. He said, you need to drop it down. I think he said 55 to 60 or 55 to 62 is your area, and the slower the better. He's like, you are literally, he said, between your fuel cost, where you're shopping, and he said, and the miles per hour, he said, you're just giving money away, hundreds of dollars away, at the gas pump. And he said, and you can put it right back by doing a few little things. And I've been doing it for the last week since I did it. So, Jeff, I know your trainer. I don't think your trainer really watches this channel, which is fine, but thank him again for me. I am really taking it to heart. I am slow as truck out there now. I'm watching. I like to play a little game with my, I always keep it on my miles per gallon screen on my dash, and it's kind of a game to keep that green bar pegged. And I've gone from, I was low, oh shoot, I think I was into the upper 7s, I think, but I'm up at 9.7, even touching 9.8 a little bit here. So thank you. And I don't know if I said his name. Steve was the trainer. And I guess I'll go ahead and wrap it up. But this was the story. It was really incredible. He took, I can't remember what else. We sat there and he answered a whole bunch of questions, gave me his card, which I have right here, told me call him anytime. And I will definitely do that. So yeah, a really embarrassing, compounding, nerve-wracking experience. Turned around with, I got a couple buddies now, I think. It was really cool meeting both of you. I hope we see each other again. Stay in touch. Jeff, if you're not in my Discord, even if you don't want to stay, get in there and DM me. We'll exchange information and contact information. I'd like to stay connected with you and Steve. So, all right, I will leave it there. I think that's long enough. 32 minutes. Sorry, folks. All right, guys. I hope everybody had a good Monday, and I will talk to you soon. Hope everyone's well. See you soon. Bye-bye.